Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. I'm James,
I'm Brian.
and today we're going to talk about an expansion to one of the games we've talked about before. Brian, why don't you tell us what we're going to be talking about?
Today we're going to be talking about Frostgrave Perilous Dark. It is a expansion for Frostgrave. Um,
What's the theme of this one? Because I know before you told me about Ghost Archipelago. What's Perilous Dark about?
so Ghost Archipelago is a separate kind of system that runs off of the Frostgrave system. It's just a different part of the world. This one is actually set in Frostgrave. But this one is this expansion focuses on solo play and cooperative play. So in
Very
this time
valuable.
where
Very valuable in this time.
yes, yeah, in this time where we're finding solo time more often than we are PvP time, this is a very awesome book to have. And as of right now, Osprey is offering Frostgrave 1.0, the original copy, the digital book, for free. So if you could find that, they also have a couple PDFs of some of the games in Perilous Dark for solo play. But Perilous Dark is a full campaign with ways to actually build your own campaign for solo play. So definitely check out Perilous Dark.
All right, so knowing that it's a straight-up expansion of regular Frostgrave without the site turned into Ghost Archipelago, what do you need to play it?
First off, you'll need the Frostgrave rules and 1d20 and a couple miniatures. So you'll need at least one wizard miniature, and of course you'll need to build your warband. So I'd say anywhere between 4 and 5 different miniatures, depending on how you build your warband. You are going to need some other miniatures to represent villains. And there are also some special things that you'll need, like trapdoors and special terrain features. If you want to represent those with just drawing on a piece of cardboard, do that, because I know the stores aren't really available right now. If you can support a store, do that. But if you have cardboard and a marker, do that. That works just as well.
So you mentioned that it's solo play. What are some of the unique features of the game now that it has that solo option?
So there's always been an artificial intelligence to the creatures that you're playing against in a Frostgrave game. This kind of really updates that system and adds in a little bit more AI to the AI. So the creatures are actually more controllable from a roll of the die, and they're less single-minded, so they're more acting against you. And there's actually a difficulty setting in this game, so depending on how difficult you want it, you could actually change that. So if you're just like, if you want to go through a dungeon crawl pretty easily, then it shows you exactly how to do that. Or if you want something where you're going to be, your last guy is on his last health and everything's broken on him, and that's how you win, then there's that option too.
So with the solo, how's the gameplay organized? Is it I go, you go with the AI, or do you go and then the AI effect kicks in?
So it's set up the same way. So you'll have your wizard phase. So you'll have your wizard and up to 3 miniatures that you control around your wizard can activate, and then you'll have the AI. So depending on how you roll and how the difficulty will determine what AI or what miniatures on the AI are going. So each scenario has a different way to set up, and how initiative rolls. But how you'll be playing is that you'll have your wizard phase, your apprentice phase, and then your soldier phase.
All right. So now I assume with Perilous Dark, is there a campaign to this solo play?
There is a campaign in the game. So sets up how to build a campaign. So the great thing about this game, about this book, is that it doesn't have a full set campaign. What you do is you build a deck of cards, and that are dungeon cards. And so you go through and you, okay, so you open the door, you place out the cards, and this is what's in the dungeon. And then it shows you exactly how to set up everything. There's traps, obstacles. There are 6 scenarios in here, but there's not like you could play them all, but it's not like a cohesive event after event. But it shows you how to do a full thing.
Okay, so let's talk about the scenarios can be part of the campaign if you want, like as
Yes.
you're trying to achieve this goal. So that makes it kind of like the encounter cards in Blackstone Fortress. We played that one of where you just like
Exactly.
what's the layout going to look like this time?
Exactly. So it's like, okay, so this is the scenario, this is what's going on, and then you have the cards. But then you just like build the deck of cards and be like, okay, this scenario, I open the door, this is the room, boom, boom, boom. Okay, this is how it's going to be.
Okay, so what would you say is missing out of this expansion?
The core rules.
Okay.
Which, I mean, you shouldn't get in an expansion anyways. But honestly, this is probably, so this expansion brings in a lot of elements that he has in Rangers of Shadow Deep with the co-op. But also you can see where he's going with it with Frostgrave in Frostgrave 2.0. So this is kind of the transition book from 1.0 to 2.0. So this is definitely, it's not lacking a lot, but you could see where 1.0 rules aren't like 100%. I'd say they're like 95% compatible with this book, whereas you'll see 2.0 coming in and making this a must-have for the game.
So is this, since the core rules aren't in this expansion, does that mean I can use Perilous Dark for first edition and second edition Frostgrave?
Yes. So that's the great thing about Frostgrave, transitioning from 1.0 to 2.0. Every book that isn't the core book will be usable in 2.0.
Oh, that's different. They're not just going to
Yeah.
re-release every book again for $5 more.
No. You just buy the books as they are. And so, like, I have every single Frostgrave book that's out there. And moving
And some
into
of the
2.0, then some of the magazines. But so, not having to rebuy everything is amazing. Pretty much, he's already kind of updated the rules as he's gone through the different books and different expansions of this game. And he's pretty much compiling all that and fixing some of the other things that kind of got a little wonky with the expansions and compiling them into 2.0 and really, really fixing everything that's going on. I'm extremely excited for 2.0.
So where do you hope this game goes? Normally we limited this to Perilous Dark. Without seeing second edition, and Perilous Dark is the bridge, where do you hope Frostgrave goes?
I would love, other than second edition, I would love another like book like this, but resources. Like, here's just lists of like enemies and like, okay, here's random encounter number 1. I roll d20. It's like, okay, boom, there's that. Okay, I'm going up against this. I want like isometric maps, and I want like I want a book that just like has different things that I could just throw into a campaign.
All right.
Which, I mean, you could do that with everything that's in all the books, but I want a book that compiles that.
You want a compendium?
Yes, I don't want scenarios. I want lists. I want charts. I want maps. I want things that like are extra in books to be one book.
You want the
That,
Frostgrave
that's
Film
just
of Champions?
yes. I mean, I've gotten really into Dungeon Crawl Classics recently, and that's a role-playing game. And there's books where it's just like, okay, here's a book of monsters. Each page is like it's called the ABCs of monsters. So you have A, you roll a d20, and there's a monster with letter A. And then you go, next page is B, C, D, and just like, okay, what do I want to fill my dungeon with? And so I kind of want to see something like that for Frostgrave, because I see Frostgrave more as a uh, miniature RPG game instead of just a miniature game.
I think that's been the trend, especially with the skirmish ones, is to build the
Yes.
narrative into the characters. So let's do our final two wrap-up questions. So you're in the elevator, you're out facing someone, and you say, "Why should I play this game?"
Well, you have a lot of alone time right now, and you're itching to play some games. This is the perfect book for you. Let's say like none of this has gone on pre or post COVID. I would say you want to play games at home, but you don't have anybody to play with. This is a perfect sit down to play by yourself. You can make a campaign where you're just like, okay, my D&D game got canceled this week, but I still want to play something like this. You sit down with Perilous Dark, boom, you got a miniature campaign going.
All right. So let's say, why shouldn't you play this game?
If you don't like fantasy games and you like sci-fi games, this is kind of not your style. Other than that, of course, I don't know. I can't really think of a reason not to play it, because you could get the 1.0 rules for free right now.
How much does
And
Perilous Dark cost? So let's say I go on right now. I'm all alone. All I have is my WizKids wizards and all my D&D figures
25.
for the Perilous Dark.
Yeah, the physical copy. If you're
Oh,
getting,
the online's cheaper.
yeah,
So I can get the core rulebook for free. I'll pay $20. Let's just round it up to $20 for Perilous Dark. I'll
yep,
use my D&D mittings and I'm ready to go.
you're ready to go. Build some cardboard terrain. I mean, it's Frostgrave is one of those games that is so accessible and like easy to play, especially coming if you're playing 5th edition D&D. You probably already have a bunch of D&D miniatures, and those translate perfectly into Frostgrave. And if you play any other fantasy game, you probably have miniatures for Frostgrave. So unless you don't have miniatures and you don't play miniature games already, then there's such a small model count that this game is so accessible to everyone that it's kind of hard to think of reasons not to play this game.
I think we'll call that a wrap on Frostgrave's Perilous Dark. That'll be it for me. Yeah. So I'm James.
I'm Brian.
We'll see you next time.
Be safe, everyone.